friendly neighborhood Manus Bunny, and I've come home finally. So yeah, I've been away for a bit. I've kind of got really overwhelmed, and so I had to like just let everything go for a while. But you know, I'm ready to come back and resume with this channel. So there will be some changes coming to the content, and I'm still trying to figure out what it is exactly that this channel will be apart from goth. But I guess the thing is, like, well, whatever it is, it's always going to be honest content. Let's put it that way. So, right, there's been some chat recently about like things for underage goths to do. So anyone who's a minor and can't get into clubs for obvious reasons. Now, when I was a young'un, I couldn't just go to clubs. I didn't have a fake ID. First of all, I don't think I would have known where to find one, and also if I'd snuck out of the house to go somewhere like that at nighttime, I'm pretty sure my parents would have skinned me alive and I would not be here today. So those are my reasons why I never went down that path. But also there just wasn't anything on. The only things that were on really when I was young was so this nightclub called Crush that was just for underages, but it was like very top of the pops, top 40 kind of music. So I don't know if it would have appealed to me much at the time. I might have gone to socialize, but I may not have gone. Well, really, they didn't really socialize with people who were into that kind of music anyway, so I don't know, not for me. And also there was this thing called Youth Week. I don't know if it's on anymore or on in the capacity that it was when I was a minor, but basically there were like free events like concerts and like band comps and meetup things, and well, anything that you could think of that was like youth related. Like skateboarding and I don't know, all that kind of stuff that, you know, the grown-ups thought were like what, you know, edgy kids did. That was like put on by the council, and you got to participate in it once a year, and that was pretty much the highlight of my year. That's what I waited for. Apart from that, I guess there were house parties, but again, I wasn't allowed to go to them unless I was chaperoned. So yeah, no real goth events from when I was young. So I only really started getting out in the scene when I was over 18 and could actually go out. So well, thinking, well, this advice doesn't really help me much, so what, I'm just supposed to wait till I come of age? Well, no, of course not. All right. So what do you do if you're underage and don't have much to go to? Well, of course, you could always look for events and travel to them and all that kind of thing. But if that's not for you and you're feeling up to it, then you can create your own events to go to. Now, I have done a bit of that, so here are just some things to consider. One of the things that I guess really frightened me when I first started was wondering, well, who's going to show up? But then, of course, I remembered the wonderful words from Wayne's World, which are,
if you book them, they will come.
And so they did. So once a year I run a all-ages goth picnic here in Sydney. It's happening pretty soon, in about, from the day of recording, in about 20 days. So I'm super pumped, super excited, getting ready for that. But, you know, I have tried to do, like, band nights and club nights and things like that, and it's not always easy. So first of all, just put out some ideas there of like, what kind of event would you like to go to and why? So other than club nights, you could do okay, so picnics, movie nights, you could do coffee shops, meetups. I remember it was suggested that house parties are a thing, but like, how comfortable are you with people you don't know coming into your home? And there's also like some examples from one of the girls from Two Broke Goths. She did a video of goths at the zoo, and I believe they do goths on skates as well. I think it's called Gateway Events. I'll double check and I'll put something here that will tell you exactly what it is. So those are some other things that you could do that aren't club nights. So once you have your idea, think about your crowd. Think about who they're likely to be. Think ages, demographics, all that kind of stuff. It's very important to always think about who the event is for. It's not just for you. And then, considering your demographics and considering the kind of event you're doing, I want you to write down every single thing that can go wrong. And the reason I say this is because as an event organizer, your number one priority is your attendees, your patrons. They are the ones who you have a duty of care to, and that means you have to look after them. You have to make sure that they're safe. Not just like physically safe, but also safe from psychological harm that could. And then of course, once you've got your list of everything that can go wrong, try to make a list of how you can prevent those things from happening and then go from there. So the point is to try to minimize the risk that you're putting yourself through and everybody else through when you're organizing an event. So when you have to think of possible issues, I'm talking about things like legal issues. So the venue that you've selected, is there what's the maximum amount of people that can fit in there, for example? Can this place accommodate people to what time? What's all the cleanup involved? You have to think of the safety of the workers as well, and your event staff, if you're having event staff. And then of course things like trolls and creepers and other like predatory people, because unfortunately being part of this community means that you do get those people. I don't know why. They have nothing better to do. 9 years of organizing this picnic, and every single year it's almost like they just up the ante of how much they want to piss me off. But you know what? Water off a duck's back. You just can't care really about the trolls, but of course care about your people. Right? And of course one of the other things that you have to think about is money, and how money things are going to work. I'll tell you this right now, most goth and alternative events are run for the love of it, and you're just hoping to break even at the end of the night. So when you're doing your costings and everything else, try to cost it in such a way that you'll break even at the very least. So that means everybody gets paid. Another thing to consider, of course, is the weather. So if you're having an outdoor event, it could rain. There could be unseasonably warm weather. So think about stuff like that as well. Do you have a wet weather plan? Do you have a heat event plan? That kind of stuff. And of course, the other thing that you have to do is think about accessibility. So you want your event to be as inclusive as possible. There are goths out there who do have physical disabilities as well. So please make sure that you're choosing a location which is accessible to all. So, well, how do you advertise this with all the trolls and whatnot and everything else? Well, just from some personal experience, if I could do it all again from the very beginning, when I thought only maybe a handful of people would come, what I would do is I would have immediately set up just closed groups and only advertise events in that closed group, and then of course advertise people to go into the closed group, so that way to minimize the trolls from day dot. If you're going to make a closed group on Facebook, etc., then try to put in some questions to help you vet the people who come in, because trolls can be pretty horrible and nasty, and they tend to post horrific things like images of self-harm, and if you have an all ages thing going on like I do, where minors are going in to check that kind of thing, and mental health is really important in the goth community, and it should be in every community really, but I unfortunately get to see a lot of that kind of thing as a mod, and I also see a lot of weird big titty goth girlfriend pornography images and things that people send through. it's a little bit rough being an event organizer sometimes, but you know what? It's so worth it at the end of the day. The Goth Picnic in Sydney is one of I'm just so happy I did it. It brings me so much joy that it just outweighs all the negativity and everything else. Like, it doesn't even touch it. That's how good doing the picnic makes me feel. Get help. Get a support group around you if you have issues dealing with that kind of stuff. I know I did at the beginning, and I, in my own typical fashion, kind of just say like, no, I'll do it on my own. No, it really helps to reach out. Even for me, I've been doing it for 9 years, and I still reach out to my friends and say, hey, laugh at this with me, please. But anyways, so I think that's the way I would go. Just make sure it's safe for yourself. Another great thing is hashtags. So with the success of so many picnics, I've started using a hashtag on Instagram called Annual Sydney Goth Picnic. And so that way people can get in touch with me, or can see what it's about just using that hashtag. So use your social medias and all that. So hashtags are good. Word of mouth is even better. Flyers are great. So back in the band days, not going to really do much of that here, but back in the band days, I used to put up posters everywhere. I'd run around like the alternative part of town at like stupid o'clock with a friend in the car driving, and me just like jumping out every few meters and like sticking running around a flagpole or wherever there was a pole, I would put up a flyer. But there were also like stores where I could go in and put a flyer in the window and stuff like that. So if there are some alternative stores, I'm not talking Hot Topic, I'm talking about like little community places, put it up there. Yeah, so think about your audience, think where they might be, and try to put the advertising where they're at if you're doing it in the physical world. So yeah, and hopefully they will come. Also, you might want to tell authorities if you're doing a public thing. Just say like, oh look, or like tell somebody who could help you get out of a jam if you need to. If for example, say you're going to be hosting it at a coffee shop, like a little coffee get together, let the coffee shop know that you're thinking of coming down with some friends, but like it's a meetup and you've organize the space thing, and I have a chat to them first. Don't just like show up at a coffee shop, because that's a bit it's a bit random. But there are also like I know here there are libraries that you could rent out a room. That does cost money, so think of you could have a listening party at a in like a location like that. But oh god, now I'm just coming up with different ideas and I'm rambling on and everything else. Okay. Just posting online to like little groups in Facebook. Facebook is really not that great when it comes to like event organizing stuff, but unfortunately it is kind of like what we have. So set up a website, do something like that, and see how you go. There are also, I know, other websites, like for example when I was visiting New York, there was a website where I could find events. So maybe get in touch with like the webmasters and let them know, so that they can put up a little notice so that anyone who's in town at the time or around there can head out. So those are just some ideas. If you've made an event in the past and you have anything else you want to add, please put it in the comments section below. I will be reading. Additionally, if you have any questions about anything I've spoken about, or you'd like me to go into it further, then more than happy to do so. Just please let me know and I'll make a video about it. Additionally, I'd like to say a very big thank you to everybody who subscribed to my channel so far. I really am so overwhelmed that anyone wants to hear my opinions on things. Thank you so much. There's a lot of interesting things that were said in the comments that I'd really like to go further into. So you can look forward to that, I suppose. And I guess if you're in Sydney in September and would like to attend the annual Sydney Goth Picnic, drop me a line, follow us on the hashtag, and we'll get some information out to you as to how you can attend and where it is and when it is and all those things. I might just like link it or put it here somewhere. So yeah. All right, everybody, thank you once again for popping in and checking in on what I'm doing. It is getting very cold out here, so I'm gonna skedaddle. But yeah, thanks so much. All right, bye.